On this episode of Lights, Camera, Akron, our reporter Jeannie McBride takes us to the Opal House Addiction Recovery Center.
And reporter Amanda Murata takes us to a local student-run bakery.
This is Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition, starring Jade Marshall, Heather Daniels, Amanda Murata, Jeannie McBride, Jay Jackman, and featuring Jen Danczak.
Welcome to Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition. I'm Jen Danczak.
And I'm Jay Jackman. Jade Marshall and Heather Daniels have the night off. France is in mourning after losing 2 Olympians in a helicopter collision in Argentina. Swimmer Camille Mufa and boxer Alexis Vastine were cast in a European survivalist reality show titled Dropped. The helicopter crashed in a remote part of the country yesterday, killing all 10 people on board.
The European Court of Human Rights has awarded damages to 6 Hungarian men, ruling that overcrowding and other problems in Hungary's prisons resulted in their degrading treatment. The ruling issued said that the undignified conditions included the lack of privacy during toilet use, inadequate sleeping arrangements, and insect infestation. The applicants were awarded a total of almost 80,000 euros, which is over $79,000 in damages, plus 12,000 euros or $13,000 in costs and expenses. The court said Hungary could cut back overcrowding by, for example, reducing the number of people in pretrial detention, as they made up 28% of all prisoners at the end of 2013. A further 450 similar applicants are pending against Hungary.
Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff has signed a new law that carries tough sentences for gender-related killings of women and young females. The law that was introduced sets a prison sentence of 12 to 30 years for anyone convicted of killing women of any age in domestic violence or because of her gender. It also describes those killing as femicides. Even longer sentences can be set in the killing of women who are pregnant or recently gave birth, young women under 14, those who are over 60 or disabled. Rousseff says that 15 women are killed daily in Brazil, many through domestic violence.
A French palace and a British museum have joined the growing list of global tourist attractions to ban selfie sticks. They're devices visitors use to improve snapshots, but which critics say are obnoxious and potentially dangerous. Officials at Chateau de Versailles and Britain's National Gallery announced the ban, saying they need to protect artworks and other visitors. The sprawling 17th century Versailles Palace is where Louis XIV established his kingdom's seat of government 14 miles west of Paris. It attracts 7.5 million tourists a year. Visitors may still use their sticks in Chateau's courtyard or in the vast park and gardens surrounding the palace. The British Museum is currently reviewing its selfie stick policy.
A Swiss-made solar-powered aircraft has taken off from Oman on the second leg of its round-the-world trip. The next stop is India, and it will be the Solar Impulse's second first sea crossing. Pilots Andre Borschberg and the founder of the Solar Impulse company are taking turns flying the single-seater craft, which they hope will complete its journey in 5 months.
Coming up on Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition, Jeannie takes us to the Opal House Addiction Recovery Center. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition. I'm Jay Jackman.
And I'm Jen Danczak. We have reporter Jeannie McBride at the Opal House Addiction Recovery Center. Let's take a look.
Lindsay is in her 20s and has been struggling with her heroin addiction for so long that she didn't even know how to do basic everyday things like cook until she came to Opal House.
Because when we come in, we're broken and we have nowhere to go and we don't know what to do or even how to.
The Opal House not only allows women to recover from their addiction, it helps them with future skills such as cooking, cleaning, or even laundry.
It saved my life, and I would hate for other women to not have the opportunity to change their life in the same ways that I've changed mine.
Cheryl McCord founded Opal House 2 years ago, but now she fears the safe haven she created is in danger of closing.
If they didn't have anywhere to go, they'd be out on the streets, they'd be back using. And the dangers that these ladies face out there on the streets, not only from overdose, but for abuse, is phenomenal.
The owner of the house offered to sell it to Cheryl for $120,000, but without donations from the community, the Opal House will close, and these women will be put on the street with little hope and no help to recover. In Jefferson, Jeannie McBride, Lights, Camera, Akron.
You know, that really sounds like a really good idea.
It really is. Honestly, I didn't know too much about it, so thank you, Jeannie, for that. President Barack Obama wants to clamp down on companies that service student loans issued by the federal government. More than 40 million Americans have student loans, and many are backed by the government. However, the U.S. has established contracts with third parties to collect on loans once students have graduated. Obama is announcing he'll sign a presidential memorandum requiring those companies to better inform borrowers about their repayment options. Obama also wants loan servicers to apply extra payments first to the highest interest loans, helping students pay off debt quicker. The president also will announce the steps during a visit to Georgia Tech in Atlanta.
University of Oklahoma President David Boren has expelled 2 students who he said have been identified as leading a racist chant as part of a fraternity event. Boren said in a statement that the 2 students were dismissed for creating a hostile learning environment for others. The students' names were not released. The video posted online shows several people on a bus participating in a chant that included a racial slur, referencing lynching, and indicated black students would never be admitted to OU's chapter of Sigma Alpha Epsilon. Boren says he hopes the dismissal of the 2 students will help students realize that it is wrong to use words to hurt, threaten, and exclude other people. Boren severed ties with the fraternity and ordered its house to be closed.
What are y'all saying to each other?
Just goodbye. They're telling all I heard how much they loved you and how much they feel for you.
And I'm going to miss them. I just can't imagine waking up in the morning and not being here.
The doctor who helped Harrison Ford after his vintage plane crash landed on the golf course says he found the actor slumped over in the cockpit, but he was conscious. The actor took off on a solo flight and quickly reported an engine failure. A spinal surgeon was golfing next to the Santa Monica airport where he saw the plane belly flop and rushed to the fairway where it came to rest. He tells local television affiliates in Los Angeles that aside from worrying about Ford's injuries from the impact, he saw fuel leaking out of the World War II era plane. He and other golfers pulled Ford from the wreckage. Others threw dirt on the fuel so it wouldn't catch fire. Ford is currently in the hospital, but he is expected to have a full recovery.
The State Department says the full trove of Hillary Clinton's emails as Secretary of State will be published on a website after they are reviewed.
That may be one conclusion to draw from the president's remarks, but it would not be an accurate one. The president, as I think many people expected, did over the course of his first several years in office trade emails with his Secretary of State. I would not describe the number of emails as large, but they did have the occasion to email one another. And the point that the president was making is not that he didn't know Secretary Clinton's email address. He did. But he was not aware of the details of how that email address and that server had been set up, or how Secretary Clinton and her team were planning to comply with the Federal Records Act.
Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki said a review of the 55,000 pages of emails will take several months. Clinton's aides have said no classified material was transmitted via that private email account that she used for official business while in office. The Associated Press is also suing the U.S. State Department to force the release of email correspondence and government documents from Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State. The requests target materials related to the potential presidential candidates' public and private calendars, correspondence involving longtime aides, and Clinton-related emails about the Osama bin Laden raid and National Security Agency surveillance practices. We will have more on this story as it develops.
A 17-year-old Connecticut girl was forced to undergo chemotherapy by the state after she refused treatment. She's happy the cancer is in remission, but still upset that she had no choice in the matter. The girl, identified in the court documents only as Cassandra C., said she still believes alternative treatments would have been the same result as chemotherapy. Cassandra remains confined to Connecticut Children's Medical Center in Hartford, under the custody of the State Department of Children and Families. A judge granted the agency temporary custody of her in November after she and her mother refused the chemotherapy for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Although she says the chemo hasn't been as bad as she thought, Cassandra said she didn't want the poison in her body with chemo and wished to explore alternatives.
Oh. Well, now we have a reporter, Amanda Murata, with an inspiring student who opened her own bakery. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Amanda Murata, and I'm here in Julie's kitchen to talk about her business, Julie's Sweet Celebrations. Let's take a look. Hi, I'm here with Julie Roberts. Julie, what is your business called?
My business is called Julie's Sweet Celebrations.
And what is Julie's Sweet Celebrations?
It is a cake and cupcake decorating company.
Awesome. So when did you start this?
I started about 2 years ago.
Okay, and what do you do with your business?
I decorate cakes for parties and special events like that.
What inspired you to create a business like this?
I just love baking. I'm super passionate about it, and so it's just a way to use my creativity.
What's your favorite kind of dessert?
Definitely cake.
What is the best cake design you've done so far?
Probably the one I made for my grandma's 90th birthday. It was a white fondant and pink and purple flower cake, so.
How can students at the University of Akron find you?
I have a Facebook page, so definitely like it and message if you want me to do anything.
And can we watch you decorate?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Julie, can you tell us what we're about to do?
We're gonna decorate some cupcakes.
And what are we gonna decorate them with?
With the buttercream we just made and fondant.
Awesome, I can't wait to get started. Awesome, thank you so much for having us, Julie.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no problem. So what kind of cakes can we expect from you?
You can expect birthday cakes, wedding cakes, anniversary, whatever you can think of. Just go to Julie's Sweet Celebrations on Facebook and shoot me a message.
Awesome, and she's super affordable, ladies and gentlemen, so check out Julie's Sweet Celebrations for your next cake celebration. I'm Amanda Murata, and this is LCA. Bye!
Coming up on Lights, Camera, Akron, News Edition, we pay tribute to the University of Akron professor, Dr. Paul Jackaway.
Welcome back to Lights, Camera, Akron, News Edition. I'm Jen Danczak.
And I'm Jay Jackman.
Police are currently searching for a man who was caught defecating on a car belonging to a woman in Akron. A photo of the act was taken by the father of the victim. According to Akron Police Lieutenant Rick Edwards, the man is in his mid-40s, and incidents like this have been reported since May 2012. 19 reports have been filed in total, and the cars have been damaged on the outside, the door handles, and the interior if they were left unlocked.
All of these incidents took place in the Castle Homes neighborhood in Akron, and some victims reported the incidents thinking it was a dog. Lieutenant Edwards says investigators could perform DNA testing to try to identify the man, but he says for minor crimes like this, that would be the last resort. If arrested, the suspect could face charges such as criminal mischief. Anyone with information about this man should contact the Akron police.
I seriously thought this was a joke until I saw the picture, and I could not believe what I was seeing.
I mean, it's blowing up social media.
That's
all I can say.
I hope they catch him.
That's all I can say.
Oh my gosh, this is insane.
Okay, well, The father of a boy killed by bacterial meningitis and an expert in infectious diseases are among advocates coming to the Ohio State House to promote new vaccine legislation. The Immunization Advocacy Network of Ohio has organized an event to speak to state lawmakers. The Organization of Immunization Providers and supporters say the vaccines are valuable to the health of our state. The effort comes as national debate rages over forced vaccinations. The U.S. has experienced outbreaks in the recent years of meningitis, measles, mumps, and other infectious diseases that were practically wiped out through widespread immunizations. Several outbreaks touched Ohio. U.S. House Speaker John Boehner of Ohio has joined Republican congressional leaders in encouraging childhood vaccinations. They have stated a law that may not be needed.
The U.S. Coast Guard is urging people to use caution on Great Lakes waterways due to warmer temperatures and unstable ice. The warning specifically mentions Lake Superior and the northern parts of Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. People are at risk of falling through the ice during above freezing temperatures. The Coast Guard also notes that ice breaking in harbors, ports, and waterways is also increasing throughout the Great Lakes in preparation for the March 25th opening of the Soo Locks. The Coast Guard says people should stay away from cracks, seams, pressure ridges, slushy areas, and darker areas of ice, since these could be hazardous. This past weekend, the University of Akron lost one of our communication professors. We spoke to coworkers and students of Dr. Paul Jackaway on his legacy. Let's take a look.
I was his advisor in the master's program, and we met when I was teaching Intro to Grad Studies. And then we just kind of hung out the rest of the 2 years that he was here, as well as all the time afterwards as well. I worked on final edition, journalism according to Jack and Jen Danczak. So that was an adventure. And so it was a great experience. There would be always times, I don't know if you realize that his office, you always have to go by his office to get to my office, and so we'd always stop by and chat about how things were going, and students and projects that he was working on. And he had just ordered for Jen a camera that you put on your band, so the camera would, so she would walk around, and it was going to be his tree-hugging documentary. Last week he received his nonprofit status, so he could begin doing documentaries in earnest. But the first one he was going to work on was the one down by Athens, where Jen was going to wear this camera on her head. He was going to follow her, but so he could, he could see everything that she was seeing. Right. Well, that was one of the, I think, real characteristics of Paul. He has he had a fabulous sense of humor. It's very hard for me not to talk about him in the present tense. You know what he called me, didn't you? No. Mom. Oh. Because, and he would always introduce me as Mom at AEJ, and I said, Paul, don't do that. I am not that old. And so he always would explain then that because I was always there, kind of in a supportive position, I guess, for whatever he wanted to get done.
Dr. Jackaway was a huge advocate for ZTV and WCIP for both programs. He always not only spoke highly of the programs to the students, but also was kind enough to let us come into his classroom, and he would always say, yeah, you got 10 minutes, and we would end up taking a much bigger chunk than that, and always let us have some of that precious time to answer questions that the students had about the programs. So huge advocate for both ZTV and WCIP. As a colleague, I've known Dr. Jakaway since I believe I had just graduated with my master's and started working here as an adjunct instructor, and he had just started his master's then, and he always had that really quirky, direct in your face type of sense of humor, and just really great, and he really enjoyed teaching in academia, and also he was a great storyteller. He really enjoyed working on his documentaries, and he had a very distinct style, and we kept in touch quite a bit when he was getting his doctorate at OU, at Ohio University, and it was great to hear that he was coming back here as a visiting lecturer, and it was also nice to see that his sense of humor had not changed. And yeah, we always exchange ideas and notes on our teaching, and so.
I'm Dan Cermak. I had Dr. Jakaway last semester, fall semester of 2014, for intro to media production. It's honestly the class I'm being totally honest here, that I'm going to remember the most out of the classes so far. Dr. Jakaway was the professor that I had the most personal relationship with out of all the ones I had. It was a 7:45 class, so it's hard to get up in the morning sometimes. But he made it worth it. He always made sure that I was okay in the class, that I was feeling okay. He made the extra effort to talk to me even after class, and he got to a point where I really cared about how he was doing. And even this year, I see him around the communication. I don't have a class with him this current semester, but I see him around the communication department, and I always enjoyed seeing him. I always caught up with him, and I know he really cared about teaching, and he wanted students to learn a lot, and he wanted them to succeed in the class and do the most of their ability. He wanted to see everyone give effort and just improve over the course of the semester, because a lot of people, they don't have experience in the media production side, and he wanted to give a good introduction. I think he definitely did that. I'm going to miss him a lot.
Thank you for watching this episode of Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ZTV LCA.
On behalf of all of us here at the University of Akron and ZTV, we salute the work Dr. Jakaway had on our station. You will truly be missed.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.